want to go deeper into a point that you mentioned about if you're being energized versus depleted, that is one of the signs that you're going down the correct path. It might not be the one, I love that phrase that you mentioned. It might not be the one you thought you were going towards, but it's definitely going to be the right for you. So as we go down this path, the muse is going to show you moments of flow, right? Which are those signs that, hey, you're going down the right path, you're energized, you're working on your craft. But she's also going to show you resistance to test you, to see if you're really willing to do what it takes to earn that place in fulfillment and meaningfulness. So, and of course, it's not going to be easy. People might confuse resistance with depleting type of situations. What would you advise in terms of signs to look for that you are following? If this is one, right? Like energy. If you're energized by the activity, that's a good sign. Depleted, not so much. Are there any other signs that we can be aware of, or any other questions that maybe yearly, quarterly, or every so often we can ask ourselves, like the memento mori question, to make sure that we are going in the right direction?
Mm. Yeah, it's a great question. Well, I think to circle back to the, is what you're doing energizing or exhausting you? I call that my zest barometer. So if I am consistently feeling like what I'm doing is energizing me, I'm pretty sure that I'm doing the right thing the right way. If I am consistently feeling a little exhausted or depleted, it's an indicator that I'm either doing the wrong thing or I'm doing the thing wrong. And the zest barometer is just a way of kind of checking in, because if you as you very clearly articulated, and it was a really good point, you can be doing the right thing and experiencing a period of feeling exhausted or depleted. And if you recognize that, then you can start to play with, well, how am I doing this? How could I do this differently? Do I have to do this to get to what I want? So one of the things that we're kind of talking about here is, when you have enough clarity about your life's calling, and you have enough clarity about the strategy, whatever the work is, the daily discipline that you're going to employ to get closer to doing what you are called to do. We're talking about systems, and we need to think about systems reliability. System reliability basically says that the efficiency of any system is only as effective as the product of the efficiency of all the component parts. And so, just to give a kind of an everyday example, if you think of my computer as a system, then I have a computer, I have an outlet, and I have an electric bill. So as long as I've paid my electric bill, my computer is plugged in, and my computer is in good working order, I have a system that will work a very large portion of the time. But when you factor in that there's the human component, and I forget to plug it in, I forget to pay my electric bill, suddenly I'm the weak link, I'm the inefficient, the big inefficiency in the system, and I need to fix that. And in most systems, the human component is going to be the weakest component. So when I am working with people that are defining their calling and trying to set themselves up to start you know making the difference only they can make, and doing the work that they're meant to do now, we come at it from first principles thinking. So for instance, I work with a lot of people in midlife that have decided that they want to do something that looks a lot like what I do, which is I've been able to craft a coaching business where I'm working about 10 hours a day with 10 clients a month, and I'm making a full-time living doing that. And I crafted that lifestyle business because I wanted a business that fit around my life instead of the other way around, I mentioned that right before we got on the call that my grandson is here. When my son and daughter-in-law announced that they were going to have a baby, we raised our head and said, we want to be the daycare. So for 8 or 9 hours a day, my wife and I are taking care of our grandson. When we raised our hand to do that, we, looked at each other and said, wait a minute, you and I both work about 10 hours a day on our respective online businesses. How are we going to make a living and take care of our grandson? So I spent a year figuring out, like, what are the fundamentals? What are the things that are required for me to have a thriving business? Well, it's the same thing that's required for any business. If I come at it from first principles thinking, I need an offer that's irresistible enough, an audience that is eager enough to look at that offer, and I need a simple sales strategy, sales success strategy that will get that offer in front of enough of the right people. And so I got really clear about what exactly I do, who exactly I do it for, and I spend 30 minutes a day sharing content that leads to conversations that I turn into calls that I'm able to close into sales. And I can literally spend 2 hours a day or less creating content, sharing it on social media with my email list, that allows me to do what I love, which is helping other people do more of what they love. And I have all that other time to spend, with my grandson and with my wife. So I think, come at what you want from first principles. What's necessary to achieve the thing that I want to do, and everything else has to be set aside. And then when you look at the components of that system that you're building, which are the ones that need the most work, because it's raising the floor on the least efficient components that exponentially increase the reliability of your system. A lot of people say, oh, play to your strengths, just keep raising the ceiling on the things that you're already good at. Well, the return on investment of going from 95% to 100% is very, very low. The return on investment of going from 25 to 30% is actually very, very high. And if you do the math, you'll see that I'm entirely correct. So those are just, a few of the things that I would say, are worth thinking about. I would also just say that, this kind of journey is not something that most of us have been given any support and encouragement to pursue, and there's nobody shared a lot of knowledge or wisdom about how to do this. But I think, again, more and more you will find out in the world there are more people that are thinking this way, that want to be on this path, and relationships. You were talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. After our existential needs of food, clothing, and shelter are met, the next thing that we want is, all tied to the people that we are connected with. So, be really judicious and clear about who you do spend time with and who you don't spend time with. And, sometimes people say, well, I can't ignore my family's not supporting me, but I can't ignore them. But you do get to decide how much of your bandwidth and time you give to people that aren't supporting you. So I would just be really thoughtful and deliberate about, who you're surrounding yourself with, who you're learning from, making sure that you have people that, are further behind that you're able to assist, because there's no better way to get better at your craft than teaching it to someone else.